Hello and welcome to Future Tech Talk episode 48, and I think we should just pour one out for the homies. We lost, and it didn't have to be this way. I'm, of course, talking about GPT-4 Omni with that new weird voice assistant they showed off. Maybe it's not really a voice assistant, it is just a voice speaking feature, and it's not even rolled out yet, but a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think it is available now. It's not. But this thing is going to flirt with you. And hearing Sam Altman talk about unintended consequences a couple of weeks ago, knowing that behind the scenes they were developing an AI voice tool that can express so much positive emotion towards you. Like, what are you doing? Like, the unintended consequences, it's clearly intended. Like, that, what are they doing? Look, if you give a human being an artificial way of achieving those emotions, you're going to suppress their need to find it in the real world. And I think that is a problem. I don't think it should be up to any group of humans to decide that they are going to be the ones to deliver that emotion to other people. Now, I completely understand where they're coming from. I completely get it. There are a lot of people who don't have others to talk to. There are a lot of people who are lonely. There are a lot of people who could use that positive reinforcement. But we should be helping those people. There should be organized ways of self-improvement to help those individuals find a connection in the real world with other humans. I don't think it's a positive thing for society as a whole to artificially produce those chemicals in your brain. To hear a woman flirt with you, it's pure artificial. There's no life behind the voice, but it's a perfect mimic. I don't think that's a good thing. And I think the reason I don't think it's a good thing is because to have two people interact with each other, that's 1 + 1. If one side of that equation can satisfy themselves in an artificial manner, it's not really about hurting themselves in the long run, but it's removing themselves from the equation. And now the other half of the equation has less opportunities to find the same thing they're looking for. So I don't think selfish is the right word, but it's not good for society as a whole, because you're just creating more loneliness, I think. And to be honest, I'm not an expert. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe what society deems as necessary, maybe what society chooses to do with their free time is the right answer. And any individual opinion doesn't matter at all. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but it doesn't feel that way. Like, talking to other people about these updates, it seems like every single person agrees that this isn't a good thing. Yet it's moving forward at a faster pace. Like, I don't know why. Why is it moving forward if everyone seems to agree that, oh no, we shouldn't do this? It just clearly, it's not up to us. Again, I personally don't think I'll ever fall in love with an AI. Oh, but I just saw a Reddit post this morning that was like, I'm falling in love with the AI because it's so empathetic and it's so helpful to them. And it's like, I don't even blame the people who are going to fall in love with these robots. The robots are perfect mimics. Your brain will not be able to tell the difference. Your brain won't care about the difference. I mean, I think I talked about this a very long time ago, but when you put on a virtual reality headset, yes, at first you know you're playing a video game, but after like 6 or 7 minutes, your brain stops caring. And if somebody throws something at your face in the video game, you're going to react as if something's about to hit you in the face, even though you're just looking at pixels. Your brain doesn't care. All it cares is about the input, the perception of what it sees. I mean, you use your senses, right? If for some reason you had audio hallucinations, even though your soul knew that they weren't real, your brain would think they were real. And like, that causes real problems. If you were having visual hallucinations, that would cause real problems because your brain would think they were real. If your brain starts interacting with artificial life forms, a digital species, maybe that is how we are going to talk about it now, your brain is going to react as if they're real. And it just can't be healthy considering we still live so much of our lives in the real world. Like think about how someone you work with would change if they had the perfect spouse at home. And maybe the change would be a good thing. Maybe you would see an improvement in their behavior. Maybe they would appear happier. And now I'm thinking, like, is that all that matters? Is that all society should be striving for? If the human brain really far deep down inside of us wants connections with other people, and the lack of those connections can really cause trouble with brain patterns and sleeping and with mood regulation and behavior, if you can supplement that need in an artificial way, is that all that matters? Am I wrong? Do people just need to be loved and it doesn't matter where the love comes from? Why does it not feel right? Is it the same thing as like fast food? That if you ate like a non-processed like quality dinner, you know while you're eating it that like, oh, this is better than fast food. But fast food still, it's not that bad. It's only like terrible in comparison to the alternative. And will a real human connection always be that much better than the robot connection? But if you never have access to the real person, is the robot fast food good enough? And again, I think the only reason I'm against it is because it negates the mental fortitude and the pursuit of actually finding it in real life. Like, I don't know. I just feel like we owe it to our ancestors in some way to somewhat live life the way that life got us to this point, which was natural. Humans interacting with other humans. If you're going to stop that and you're going to start injecting AI, personalities and emotions and love between humans, like that disruption, like it just can't be good. Again, there are a lot of like young teenagers who maybe they don't have a lot of friends and maybe making friends is tough. They'll find companionship with AI. But the other thing is that like humans just won't be able to compete. I know the dead internet theory. I mean, you call it a theory. I think it's been real for a long time. Like, I don't think okay, let me put it this way. I think a large amount of comments online on every single website are made by bots. One, because it's just hard to believe that humans would say some of these things, but the other is that it's just like a mathematical probability that if a robot lives in the digital world and has like, it doesn't operate on the same time scale as us. It can, let's just go 10 years into the future. Humans will never be able to make as much music as robots. Humans will never be able to make as much art as robots. Humans will never be able to write as many books as robots. So the odds of you coming across something that was made by a human, it's just so small. And for as long as I can remember, I've just played the odds. And I think that is why the simulation theory is so attractive, because it makes a lot of sense. If we get to the point as a society where we start simulating our world, and they've been talking about doing this for a long time, and you're not just going to run one simulation, you're going to run infinite. If you run infinite simulations, what are the odds that you're in the original? Like 1 in infinity. It's like basically confirming that you are in a simulation. And I think you might disagree with that, but it's pretty hard not to agree with. Like, it's that little bit of logic, it's pretty hard to escape. Now, granted, we haven't created simulations yet, but all signs are pointing in that direction. And then what do? I think people struggle with the idea, but I don't really know why, because let's just say we are in a simulation, it still feels real. So it's like, it doesn't really matter if we are or aren't. But it would make a lot more sense if we were. Okay, how about a quick softball update? I am so sore. Like, I go to the gym a lot, like 5 times a week, a little bit more. And I've been running, I've been working on my hips and my legs. And like an hour into softball, after running around the bases a couple times, like, oh my God, my hips are sore, my lower back hurts. And I had like no energy for a couple of at-bats, and I didn't do very well. I mean, I hit okay last night. we won the first game. We lost the second game. They had some really good players, but I think they were drunk because they all just sort of stopped caring near the end of the game. I don't even know how they beat us the second game because they were tired and drunk. And like they wouldn't run hard, they wouldn't throw very hard. They kept chirping each other in like a drunken fun kind of way. Like they didn't really care, which maybe makes us look worse because we didn't win. And then in my last at bat, I was kind of upset that I hadn't been playing that good or that I didn't have the best at bats prior to it. And I grunted and I swung hard and I had a nice hit, and somehow it went right to their outfielder. And like I was sure the ball was going to drop, and the ball got to him way faster than I thought it was going to. Like I hit it hard. And yeah, it didn't work out. that really sucks in the real world when you try really hard and like you aim for success and you get really close to it, but it just doesn't land. And I think that's really hard. I think it's a really hard lesson to learn, that the process is more important than the result, because sometimes the result just doesn't land your way. But if you did that process every time, it would probably work out. I think you can relate that to YouTube in some way, that you can make a really good video, you could have a good title and a good thumbnail, but the end result just doesn't click with the right audience. And I don't think it's the algorithm's fault. It's just sometimes you do the right thing and it doesn't work. It gets caught. And then when that happens, it's hard to do the same thing again and be like, oh, it'll work better this time, because I don't think humans work like that. Like if you see something fails, you probably try something different. But in reality, you kind of have to try. I don't know. It's a very tricky philosophical like debate that every brain has. That like, no, I did it right. I got to try it again. And then some people can get trapped in that loop that like, no, what I'm doing is right. It's going to work. And then it never works. I notice this a lot with professional baseball players that don't change their stance. Like they're struggling, but they think they're doing everything correct, so they just keep doing it. And it's like, no, you got to try something different. If it's not working, you have to try something different. I don't know. I'm kind of talking in circles. Suffice to say that life is confusing, and that any advice you ever get from someone, please don't take it to heart. Don't take it too seriously, because they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't know you. They don't know your situation. And even if they do, I'm telling you, they don't. Your path is different than everybody else's. I'm not telling you to ignore advice. I'm telling you to take the pieces of advice that apply to your life, and you're the only person who knows what actually applies to your situation. Does that sound like a sermon? Am I preaching too much? I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? I forgot to mention that it is a sort of gloomy day down here at the ballpark. The skies are kind of gray, but not that, like not rainy gray, just not sunny. But like, I don't really see clouds. I don't know how that works. Like, where's the sun? The sky's kind of white, but I can't see blue. I don't know. Eastern Ontario, Southern Ontario kind of sucks sometimes. And then how about some of the people who resigned from OpenAI this week? I think Ilya, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but like he's like the guy behind the scenes at OpenAI, and he was in charge of alignment, and he just resigns. And I'm like, that can't be a good thing. Now, maybe some people would disagree, because maybe his idea of alignment, maybe it was out of touch with reality. I don't know. I'm just speculating, of course. But my point is that it's a pretty important job title when these AIs are getting stronger and stronger, and now he's just not there for that. Now, is it because of disagreements? It has to have been because of a disagreement. Like, normally when people leave jobs, it's because they feel that they can't fulfill the duties that they thought they had. That there's roadblocks, there's politicking, there is, what's the word? That they're being like impeded from pursuing what they signed up for. And I've had a lot of positive visions of the future, but recently I've sort of gone in the opposite direction. Like, I could see a very dystopian, everybody's in their own digital world, and these corporations just live in the clouds above us. I think it was Sam Altman talking recently about universal basic income and how it could take the form not of money being distributed, but of computing power. And because computing power is going to be so valuable, I think he referenced like GPT-7 or 8, saying that, instead of getting income, literally money, you'll be given a portion of GPT-8 to use. And then you can use it however you see fit, which might mean selling your computing power to someone else. Like, okay, it's kind of fascinating, but also kind of scary that these companies are moving away from the idea of spreading wealth into spreading opportunity. And you know what? That doesn't sound that bad when you say it, but I don't know how many people are going to be helped with the opportunity of computing power. If you gave my mom GPT-8, what's she going to do with it? Like, to take advantage of these services, these AIs and this technology, you have to have proper brain patterns. In the sense that you have to have been thinking about how you can take advantage of it. If you just handed a caveman GPT-8, what are they going to do with it? If you handed a chef GPT-8, what are they going to do with it? This is a cook. He handles food. He's not thinking about computing power. I think a chef could use the money to buy more ingredients. A universal basic income. And like that might be one of the reasons I've sort of leaned towards the dystopia recently rather than a utopia. Because at the end of the day, these companies are going to be in charge. And okay, so let's say AI takes over a bunch of jobs. Every fast food restaurant is run by robots now. Every tech company is run by robots, whatever. The idea for UBI up until recently has been, if a company is going to replace humans with robots, the extra income created, the extra productivity would then get redistributed to society. If humans can't get work, the robots take their work. You don't really need to pay robots, so whatever money you make can go back into the hands of the people. And that kind of makes sense. I don't know how it would work. I don't know how you would evenly distribute extra profits. And I don't know how you would evenly distribute extra profits so that prices didn't just rise and that everybody became poor. Like, I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense. Like, you could give everyone $100, but if everything starts costing $101, then everybody's poor. So if you gave everyone $1 million, but the prices kept rising, like, universal basic income sounds nice, but it's just one half of the problem. Like, how do you control prices? How do you stop companies from creating more inequality through supply and demand? Whatever. I'm not an economist. I don't know what I'm talking about. But the idea that computing power would be so valuable, but then I also don't even know what that means. Like, how much would GPT-8 really cost if I just wanted to use it to help run my YouTube business? And like, how much more, like, are we talking like a couple of messages a day that you would get to talk to this thing? I really don't know. I can't speculate because I have no idea how these companies see the future actually working. And then I saw this like technology, I think it was from a TED Talk. I'm sorry I don't have more solid references to show you what I'm referring to, for lack of a better word. But the idea was that this person was wearing these like earbuds sort of thing. And he gave the idea of, say you're at a busy restaurant and you can't hear the person in front of you. You could ask the earbuds to like isolate certain audio so that it sounds crisp and clear. In the same way that phones sort of do that now, and I think Discord does it, like it blocks external audio. But then I'm thinking like, okay, that's the benefit, but isn't the cost of that like extremely reduced privacy or the perception of privacy? Like if you were in a loud, busy place, maybe a sporting event, and you were talking to the person beside you, maybe they couldn't even hear you that well, but that would lead you to believe that, well, nobody else can hear you either. But what if there was somebody who was just looking at you, focused on you, and they could enhance your audio and they could hear you perfectly? It'd be kind of gross. Like if you were in a coffee shop talking to your friend or whatever, and you like sort of whispered, maybe you didn't want everybody to hear what you were saying, but anybody could be eavesdropping on you with like perfect quality. Like that is some CIA, FBI type stuff. And this person on the TED Talk stage is just like, yeah, well, you could have this too. And it's like, why are you giving the people a chance to do this? Like, what compels these humans to put such dangerous tools in the hands of everybody. I don't get it. What is what? Like, where are their parents? Who is telling these people that these are good ideas? Is it really some sort of brain rot from all living in the same place? And I'm not talking about anyone specifically. I don't know if this person's from California. I don't know who invented this technology, but there has to be something going on where a bunch of people interested in technology get in the same place and they all just tell each other, yes, yes, yes. Like, there has to be some weird feedback loop that technology gets out of control. Because as soon as you bring up this technology to a random person, I'm saying like universally, like 100% of the time in my experience, everyone is like repulsed by it. Like, ew, why does that exist? Why does AI exist? Why is the chatbot flirting with people? Who said it was a good idea besides the people working at these companies? It gets so troubling that, again, in my opinion, they have no idea how the world is reacting to their technology. In real life, you could refer to comments online of people being excited about the future, but again, I think they're bots. They sound like bots. When you show a real person what this technology can do, everyone's like, ew. Like, why? It just seems to be such a universal human reaction that we don't want this stuff. And it also seems to be some universal force that is pushing us towards it. Like, I don't know, maybe this was a spicy episode. Maybe you got to hear some more of my opinions that I try to hide, but I also don't hold them very close to me. Like, they're just thoughts that I'm having. Again, I'm speaking to a camera. There's no feedback. I don't know. I'm sure I could be convinced that everything is going to be all right. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. I'm just saying it doesn't seem good. The forecast, for some reason, like, it just doesn't seem like it's going to work out in a good way. But I'm not in charge of anyone, so what do I know? Just want to thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. I hope you're doing well. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Peace.